Let there be light, and there was light. Words of the said God, Mother Eve. Okay, so I've been trying to get my board up, but anyway, yeah, I just felt it was necessary to really recap on what we have been doing or learning so far with the gods, the seven gods, or the nine gods of Genesis chapter 1 and the five gods of Genesis chapter 2. Okay, so of course we have seen that the numerical value of each god, when added together in the first section, in the first creation, let's put it the first creation of Genesis chapter 1, we see that the numbers came to 9, of course, and for the five gods the numbers came to 11. And of course we see 9, 11, and if we added those together as well, 9 plus 2, that would give us 11. Of course the numerical value as well, which is a vibrational value, also equals 9. So we see how 9 has in it, or 11 has in it 9, and 9, of course, when we do the numerical value for the word 9, that equals 6. So it would seem like all this vibration, all these manipulation or addition or whatever is happening or has happened through the formation of these of the constructs of the numbers and the words are part of our makeup. This is where we become 6. So basically 6 again, if we did the numerical value for the word 6, that is 7. And I have done a new putting the gods together. Of course we see how we still retain the number 6, of course the seventh day, as we were told, and God ended his works, or rested on the seventh day. So through these numbers here we can see that the 7 column or row is missing. That's the one missing here. And of course 8 is it still remains set as the number as the set, meaning it's the number of infinity or the symbol of infinity, and that is set. It's the pattern. So there, this is where Mother Eve, of course, now that coincides with the lettings of Mother Eve, when Mother Eve says, let there be light, and there was light, and let there be a firmament, and let there be great whales and gushing out of the waters, and let there be the herbs and the fowl of the air, and all those things. All creation was done here. But on the 7th, or it would have been on the 8th letting, or the 8th lettings, Mother Eve said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. So of course we learn that God made man in his own image and likeness. So this gives an impression as if the God who made man in his own image and likeness was adverse in agreement with I don't know if that makes sense. It's a in agreement with Mother Eve, but I'm hoping you get the essence of what I'm saying is that we get the impression that he made man in his own image and likeness, not after their kind, as Mother Eve had said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. No, but God made man in his own image and likeness. And there is an account that he made man. He made male, he made female, and he made he, and he made them, and he made he, him. So these are things that preachers do not really touch on at all, the he, him, or after, and the he, them. These were entities or that were made as well, classed as them. So when we use the word them, of course there is a a picture that comes to mind or referring to them as separate, like it is like a separate entity to ourselves. It's not like the word there that also has in it hair, for instance, and you could see that connection. But having said all that, I have seen the connection that all comes back to Mother Eve. Hence the word set, the God who set or caused, is number 8 and still remains set. And that is why Mother Eve ate of the fruit to teach us how. So no matter how this God had made man in his own image and likeness, there was a pattern that was already set for us to follow. And Mother Eve wants to teach us that pattern that we ought to follow. So on the 7th, of course, there is no, the God who was on 7th, for instance, having said that, okay, it's the God who has the formed, I'm seeing Saw. So 7, the God who is Saw, for instance, the Saw God here, and the formed God, they do have a numerical value of 7, but they are not in the order of 7. So with the numerical value of 7, it would seem like they also occupy that position of 7. So when they were formed or they were saw, they still have that vibration of 7. So 7 is, in this instance, it's as if there is not a motion or activity taking place right there. In 7, it's no wonder 7 looks like he's just standing very arrogant, like right here. And so this is why it is said, and God ended his work on the 7th day and hallowed it. Hallowed, and just stood his grounds, really stood his grounds right there. Of course, all these other numbers here, 5 for instance, would also have a vibration of the 5th position as even being divided. So we have moved, made, ended. So there was, we are seeing there's a motion happening, or give the element of movement here with the word moved and made and ended, of course. So the word ended as well, of course, gives a impression of something is set, the set. So number 5 here with the numerical value of that 5 vibration has an impression, or gives the impression that it is also set. Hence we see that in the 5th and 8th dimension, excuse me, okay, so hence we see the 5th and the 8th. The mouth is the 5th, and the 8th here, which is what Mother Eve ate of the fruit, we could see that they are one and the same. That's what Mother Eve is calling us to recognize, the 5th and the 8th dimension, which is to do with the mouth. When we say the mouth, I mean physically, it's a physical representation, because we know I had counted about 10 things, and I think it's now 11 things that we can do with the mouth. So, and I did do the numerical value for those as well. Let's just, okay. So we had, I'm not sure I'm going to do the numerical value, but we had eat, we eat with our mouth, E-A-T. We breathe, B-R-E-A-T-H-E. We cough, that's the word I didn't have. We yawn, Y-A-W-N. We sing, we kiss, we smile, Well, I would just say laugh, because we have to smile to laugh. Laugh. We speak, of course. We speak with our mouths. We burp. I don't know if I'm spelling burp correctly here, B-U-R-P. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What else do we do? We bite with our mouths. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm sure there is another one, because I felt that I had 10 or so. But we do those things with our mouths, and that in itself, all those things, for instance, have a spiritual resonance or parallel in our makeup. So when we eat, for instance, we could say that in fact in Christianity, to study is like you are eating of the bread of life. This is part, or how it would be termed. So you are feeding on spiritual food. When you breathe, for instance, we are very much in touch with our breath. When we are meditating, when we cough, oh, perhaps that's when we have had we have a hiccup, or things are not seem to be going as we would like. This is where we question ourselves. Okay, when we question ourselves on our spiritual path. So we could say a cough really symbolizes that. A yawn would be, it's like we are spiritually drained or tired. To sing, of course, we are on a spiritual high, which is on the opposite. To kiss, we are how would I have a spiritual kiss is the essence of enlightenment. Perhaps that's why Christ used the term. He says the one who kisses him is the one who betrays him. So the enlightenment is a tray being offered, a tray of we are being the tray right there. So to laugh, of course, is spiritually elated. To speak, of course, we are sharing of our to speak. We could say when we get spiritual messages, or we are having a spiritual dialogue, that we speak there as well when we go to sleep, and we are in dialogue with heavenly beings, or whether not, or at any given time. So to burp, well, that would be, for me, would say, oh, that's when the light bulb, there's a light bulb and or something becomes clear. So I would say we have burp there. So when you bite, now, how would I even to have the parallel of a bite in a spiritual sense? I'm not sure. Spirit, help me here. What would bite mean in a spiritual context? What would bite mean in a spiritual context? It's perhaps we have accepted a spiritual message that is not really for us. That's what I think biting would mean in this sense. Or it could be the adverse as well, where we take a big chunk of something, of a message also. Okay, so as I say, I won't be doing the numerical values for this, but these are the words and terms that help us to make sense of our spiritual awareness, even with the things that we are performing each day, or we are acting out each day. So I hope that you find this at least amusing, because just to add to this as well, I believe while we perform all these acts in our body, which has those spiritual resonance, I believe it's the same thing that happens in the heavens when it rains, for instance, although it's slightly different context, and I would think that would be with the replenishment, or the first gifts we were given when we were told to be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and subdue, and have dominion. These were 5 things. These are all those 5 things that are helping us to see the significance of Mother Eve. So I would say, of course, I look at the body, how it performs. As I say, slightly different, but it's just making the correlation of things that happen in the cosmos, in the heavens, and in the earth, and happens in our bodies. So when there is a big rainfall, I usually say that the heavens are having a a P, because it's, or I could say when it's thunder, it's fluctuating, it's having a fluctuation. When it's lightning, well, it's laughing, and so on. Or if there are hailstones, well, it's doing a number 2. So I'm just saying that whatever is happening, as above, so below. Whatever is happening, and this above or below is happening from whatever spectrum or position that we are. But let us rely on the gods to give us a little bit more of their learnings, their characteristics, and their position. So do join me again. We have done the characteristics, but we still, of course, cover those aspects and their positions. Now we have seen their positions as this 9/11. This is catastrophic, really. Okay, thank you for watching. Let there be light and spill over with love.